Whispers of the Ancients, Episode 5, The Maya, Lords of Time to 1000 BCE to 1500 CE. Segment 1, Whispers Beneath the Jungle. In the heart of Central America, beneath thick jungles and centuries of silence, rest the ancient echoes of a lost world. Massive pyramids, carved stone glyphs and sacred cities, they rise from the forest floor like memories frozen in time. This was the realm of the Maya, a civilization defined not only by its power, but by its understanding of time itself. Segment 2, The Rise of a People. From humble beginnings over 4,000 years ago, the Maya emerged as farmers, artisans, astronomers, and builders. They created one of the most advanced and enduring cultures in the ancient Americas, and they did it in harmony with the stars. By 2000 BCE, the early Maya were cultivating maize, beans, and squash, what they called the Three Sisters. They built homes from wood and thatch, shaped pottery with intricate designs, and honored the cycles of nature. Time was central to everything, not measured in minutes or hours, but in seasons, moons, and sacred intervals. To the Maya, time was not linear. It moved in great circles. Life itself was a pattern, a never-ending cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. This belief would shape their entire civilization. Segment 3, The Classic Period and the City-States. By 250 CE, the Maya had entered what historians call the Classic Period. Small villages evolved into powerful city-states, each one governed by a divine king known as an Ajor. These rulers were more than political leaders. They were living descendants of the gods, chosen to maintain cosmic balance on Earth. Maya cities were unlike anything the ancient world had ever seen. Tikal, Palenque, Copán, Axmal, each one a kingdom of temples, plazas, palaces, and pyramids. Their architecture reached skyward, aligned with the movements of the sun, the moon, and the stars. Every stone placed with purpose, every temple a mirror of the cosmos. These were not just places of power, they were calendars in stone. Segment 4, Masters of the Stars. While much of the world still looked to superstition to explain the heavens, the Maya were measuring celestial cycles with astonishing accuracy. They tracked the orbits of Venus, predicted solar and lunar eclipses, and designed entire cities to align with astronomical events. Their calendars were among the most advanced in the ancient world. The Tzolk'in, a sacred 160-day cycle used for rituals and divination. The Hop, a solar year of 365 days divided into 18 months. And the long counter-linear calendar, capable of recording events across thousands of years. The long count began on a date the Maya believed marked the creation of the current world, August 11th, 3114 BCE. Through this calendar, they tracked immense cycles of time, called bactans, that stretched far into the future. Contrary to modern myths, the Maya did not predict the end of the world in 2012. They simply marked the completion of a major cycle and the beginning of another. Segment 5, Time as a Sacred Force. Time for the Maya was sacred. It was a force, a living energy not to be wasted, but honored, and so they recorded it. Maya scribes were among the most skilled writers of the ancient Americas. They developed a complex system of glyphs, symbols that combined images and syllables to form full sentences. These glyphs were carved in stone, painted on ceramics, and written in folded bark paper books called codices. Only the codices survived the Spanish conquest, the Dresden Codex, the Madrid Codex, the Paris Codex, and the Grolier Codex. Together, they hold priceless knowledge, astronomical tables, ritual instructions, prophecies, and mythic history. The destruction of hundreds of other codices by Spanish priests remains one of the great tragedies in the history of human knowledge, but much of Maya wisdom still lives, through inscriptions left on temple walls, through stelae and altars, and through the spoken traditions of Maya descendants today. Segment 6, The Popol and the Cosmic Blueprint. At the heart of their spiritual worldview was a single, powerful myth, preserved in a sacred text called the Popol. The Popol tells of the creation of the world, and the adventures of the hero twins Hanapu and Spelunc, who descend into the underworld to challenge the Lords of Death. This myth is more than a story, it's a cosmic blueprint. It teaches that the world was created through sacrifice, that life requires struggle, and that death is not the end, but a passage to transformation. These beliefs were lived out in Maya rituals, some beautiful, others brutal. Segment 7, Rituals of Blood and Balance. Rulers offered their own blood to the gods through ceremonial bloodletting, using stingray spines or obsidian blades to draw sacred lifeblood. Human sacrifices, though rare and symbolic, were believed necessary to maintain cosmic balance. During important ceremonies, even the Maya ball game held spiritual meaning. More than just sport, it reenacted the hero twins' journey through the underworld. The ball represented the sun, and the game symbolized the eternal struggle between life and death. In all things, the Maya saw time. In every ceremony, every building, every star above, time was a living force that bound all things together. They did not merely observe time, they mastered it. Segment 8, Kings, Dynasties, and Divine Right. Each Maya city was ruled by a sacred lineage. Dynasties could stretch back hundreds of years, their rulers recorded in stone, their deeds remembered in glyphs. Powerful kings like Pakal the Great of Palenque and Yikin Chan Keowal of Tikal expanded their cities through conquest, diplomacy, and ceremony. Their courts were filled with nobles, priests, warriors, artisans, and scribes. They wore jaguar pelts, jade ornaments, and towering headdresses made of quetzal feathers. Their rule was not simply political, it was cosmic. They were mediators between heaven, earth, and the underworld. A Maya king didn't just rule, he performed rituals to maintain balance in the universe. His accession to the throne was more than a crowning, it was a rebirth. A king became a divine being upon his anointment, and when he died, he did not simply pass into memory, he ascended, becoming a god among his ancestors. Segment 9, The Sacred Urban Landscape. Maya cities were unlike those of Mesopotamia or Egypt. They weren't designed around markets or riverbanks, but according to spiritual principles and celestial alignments. Temples faced the rising sun, ball courts mirrored constellations, altars and pyramids aligned with solstices and equinoxes. Each building served not only a purpose, it told a story. At Copán, stelae recorded kings' deeds and dates of great rituals. At Tikal, twin pyramids marked the passage of time, each pair built to commemorate a Katan, a 20-year period in the long count. No building stood alone. Each was part of a sacred geography, connecting the human realm to the divine. Maya cities were living texts, stone manuscripts, where gods, kings, ancestors, and time itself were written into the landscape. Segment 10, War Among the Stars. Though united by culture and language, the Maya were not one empire. They were dozens of independent city-states, often rivals, sometimes allies, frequently at war. Warfare among the Maya was ritualistic and symbolic. It wasn't always about territory. It was about prestige, captives, and cosmic power. Capturing a rival king could shift divine favor. Ceremonial battles were fought on key calendar dates, tied to celestial omens and dynastic cycles. The great rivalry between Tikal and Calakmul defined much of the classic period. Their struggle played out not just on the battlefield, but through shifting alliances with smaller cities. Marriage between royal houses and spectacular rituals meant to demonstrate cosmic dominance. Yet even in conflict, the Maya believed they were acting within the divine order of time. Segment 11, Art, Beauty, and the Language of Stone. Maya civilization was not only about kings and calendars, it was also about beauty. They were master sculptors, painters, and architects. Stone temples were adorned with elaborate stucco masks, serpent motifs, and godly figures. Ceramics told entire mythological cycles with vivid color and elegant line. Even everyday items, tools, jewelry, clothing were crafted with care and symbolism. Jade was the most precious material. More than gold or silver, jade represented life, fertility, and power. It was carved into amulets, embedded in teeth, and used to decorate the tombs of kings. Their art was more than decorative, it was sacred language. A carved lintel was not just ornament, it was a statement of power, a prayer, a recording of time. Even their faces were shaped by beauty. Elites practiced cranial deformation. In infancy, binding the skull to create an elongated head, seen as a mark of nobility. Teeth were filed into points or inlaid with jade. Through art, the Maya told the story of the universe and their place within it. Segment 12, the twilight of the classic cities. Then, around the 9th century CE, something changed. One by one, the great classic cities of the southern lowlands began to fall silent. Tikal, Copán, Palenque, and others, once bustling with priests, nobles, and rituals, were gradually abandoned. The jungle began to reclaim their temples. Stelae went uncarved. Kings went unnamed. Historians still debate the reasons. Climate change may have caused prolonged droughts. Overpopulation may have strained food supplies. Constant warfare may have weakened political stability. Or perhaps it was a perfect storm of many factors, a system stretched beyond its limits. But this was not the end of the Maya. Far from it. Segment 13, survival and renewal in the north. While the southern cities faded, new centers rose in the north, particularly in the Yucatán Peninsula. The city of Uxmal rose with elegant architecture and precision design. Chichén Itzá, blending Maya and Toltec influences, became a powerful religious and economic hub by the 10th century. Here, the sacred continued. The Pyramid of El Castillo at Chichén Itzá was a marvel of engineering and symbolism, each equinox. Sunlight and shadow aligned to create the illusion of a serpent slithering down the staircase. A tribute to Kukulkan, the feathered serpent god, here, too. Time was honored. The calendar was built into the very stones. The city of Mayapan would rise. Later still, a final echo of the great classic cities before the Spanish arrived. Despite collapse, conflict, and change, the Maya spirit endured. Segment 14, contact and conquest. In the early 16th century, ships appeared on the Maya horizon. Sails billowed in the Caribbean winds, foreign, unfamiliar, and destined to change the world. The Spanish had arrived. Unlike the Inca or the Aztec, the Maya had no central empire to conquer. Instead, Spanish conquistadors encountered a mosaic of towns, cities, and tribal alliances. Some Maya groups resisted fiercely. Others, weary from internal conflict, saw the Spanish as useful allies against rival city-states. In 1527, the conquest of the Yucatán began under Francisco de Montejo. It would not be quick, and it would not be complete. It took nearly 170 years for the Spanish to fully subdue the Maya territories. From the northern coastlines to the dense patterned jungles, the last free Maya kingdom, Nochpitan, finally fell in 1697, long after the Aztec capital had fallen. But conquest did not erase them. In hidden villages and sacred groves, the Maya kept their rituals, preserved their language, and whispered their histories in defiance. Segment 15, codices in flames. The Maya wrote thousands of books. They were called codices, folded manuscripts made of bark paper, covered in hieroglyphs, numbers, and celestial maps. These codices were sacred libraries of time, astronomy, healing, prophecy, and divine law. But to the European mind of the 16th century, they were heresy. In 1562, the Spanish friar Diego de Landa oversaw one of the greatest cultural destructions in the Americas, the burning of countless Maya books and idols in the city of Moni. He later wrote, "We found a large number of books, and since they contained nothing but superstitions and lies of the devil, we burned them all. Only for Maya codices are known to survive today. The Dresden Codex, Madrid Codex, Paris Codex, and Grolia Codex, each one a rare and fragile window into a world nearly erased." Segment 16, survival through syncretism. The Maya did not vanish with the conquest. They adapted. Under colonial rule, their temples were destroyed, but churches rose in their place, often using the same stones. Old gods were hidden behind new saints. Corn deities became Saint John. Rituals of the calendar merged with Christian holidays. The sacred ceiba tree, connecting heaven and underworld, still stood at the center of Maya villages, now beside a cross, still revered. Even their language endured. Today, Over 6 million Maya descendants still speak more than 30 Maya languages across Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. In their speech, their stories, their ceremonies, the ancient world still lives. The ancient world still lives. Segment 17. Rediscovery and the rise of Maya archaeology. Centuries passed. The jungle swallowed cities once alive with song and ceremony. Then, in the 19th century, explorers, adventurers, and archaeologists began to rediscover the Maya world. In 1839, John Lloyd Stephens and Frederick Catherwood published vivid accounts and drawings of Palenque, Copán, and Uxmal, capturing global imagination. Over time, scientists uncovered temples, deciphered glyphs, and mapped lost cities. For decades, Maya writing remained a mystery until the 20th century, when epigraphers like Tatiana Proskouriakov, Yuri Norisov, and others cracked the code of Maya hieroglyphs. Suddenly, stone monuments spoke. Kings had names, dates had meanings. Histories once buried rose from. Silence! The Maya were no longer a mystery civilization. They were authors of their own past. Segment 18. The calendar and the 2012 phenomenon. In the 21st century, the Maya returned to global headlines, not through war or writing, but through prophecy, or so it seemed. The Maya long count calendar marked December 21, 2012 as the end of a 5,126-year cycle. Many misinterpreted it as a prediction of apocalypse. Books, films, and media ran wild with speculation. Was it the end of the world? But for the Maya, it was never the end, only the completion of a great cycle, a time of renewal. Like the turning of a page in a book, it was a moment of cosmic reflection, not destruction. Maya elders, amused and sometimes frustrated by Western panic, reminded the world, "We never said it would end. We said it would begin again." Segment 19. Living Maya, Keepers of the Flame. Today, the Maya live not in ruins, but in vibrant communities across Mesoamerica. They farm the same land. They speak the same languages. They hold ceremonies by moonlight and starlight, guided by elders who still consult the ancient calendar. In Guatemala's highlands, sacred fire rituals call on them for directions. In Yucatán villages, healers use plants and prayers to treat the sick. In Belize, traditional weavers pass down patterns older than writing. They remember their ancestors not as myths, but as blood. Their past is not a relic. It is a rhythm, a heartbeat that never ceased. Segment 20. The Lords of Time. The Maya measured time not in years but in sacred breaths. Each day a divine being, each cycle a cosmic dance. They observed the stars, traced the paths of Venus, and built cities to mirror the heavens. They saw time not as a straight line, but as a circle, a spiral, a living force. Their legacy is not just pyramids and glyphs. It is a worldview with deep respect for nature, memory, balance, and rebirth. The Maya were not a lost civilization. They are a living people, descendants of kings, astronomers, artists, and dreamers, still whispering to the stars, still keeping time. Segment 21. City of Masks, Konik. Hidden deep within the forests of southern Quintana Roo lies a city few modern travelers have heard of. Konik, named by later explorers, but built by Maya architects around 100 BCE. Its most iconic structure is the Temple of the Masks, where giant stucco faces of the sun god Kinichahua still gaze out across time. The masks were once painted red, their eyes inlaid with obsidian, meant to reflect the light of the rising sun. These aren't mere decorations, they are guardians of sacred power. Konik stood as a ceremonial center for centuries, its plazas echoing with chants, its roadways linking it to other Maya cities in an intricate web of trade and belief. Though time buried it in vines, the masks still smile, still watch, keepers of a dawn long past. Segment 22. Copán, the city of kings and scribes. In present-day Honduras sits the hauntingly elegant city of Copán, one of the great intellectual and artistic capitals of the Maya world. Its rulers were obsessed with history. They carved stele-towering stone monuments detailing dates, deeds, and dynasties. None more so than Uaxaclean Abakeowailor 18 Rabbit. He was a poet king, a warrior philosopher, and under his reign, Copán blossomed into a beacon of culture. He commissioned the grand staircase of hieroglyphic stairway, a monumental record of over 2 glyphs, the longest known inscription in the Maya world. Even as political turbulence struck, Copán in later centuries describes continued writing, marking time with precision, as if they knew that one day a future civilization would read the stones and remember. Segment 23, Popolvuh, the Book of the People. Among all the texts that survive the flames, none holds more mythic power than the Popolvuh. It is not a history but a cosmology, a sacred narrative of creation, descent and rebirth. It tells of the hero twins Hunop and Balanque, who descend into Xibalba, the underworld, to defeat the lords of death through wit, courage, and sacrifice. It tells of gods shaping humans from mud, then wood, then finally maize, the divine crop that gave humans soul and substance. Maize is not just food in the Maya world, it is identity, it is destiny. The Popolvuh blends myth, philosophy, astronomy and morality into one narrative cycle, reminding the Maya people who they are and why they endure. It was preserved by Maya nobles in secret after the conquest and written down using Latin script in the 16th century. Though copied by friars, its voice is unmistakably Maya, ancient, defiant, eternal. Segment 24, the cosmos in stone. Every Maya city was a mirror not of earthly kingdoms but of the sky. Pyramids faced solstices, ball courts aligned with celestial axes. Observatories like El Caracol in Chichén Itzá tracked Venus with uncanny accuracy. To the Maya, the night sky was a sacred scroll. Constellations became gods. The Milky Way a divine river, and Venus the morning star a bringer of war and prophecy. They recorded eclipses centuries in advance, used lunar cycles to plan rituals, and measured the solar year with greater precision than the Julian calendar. They didn't just watch the heavens, they lived in them. To gaze at a Maya stela or temple is to read a cosmic equation, an attempt to bind heaven and earth through stone and time. Segment 25, the Great Collapse, Mystery and Migration. Between the 8th and 10th centuries CE, something changed. Great cities like Tikal, Calakmul and Copán were abandoned. Monuments ceased. Roads fell silent. This event, often called the classic Maya collapse, remains a subject of debate. Some point to overpopulation which strained agricultural systems. Others highlight climate change, droughts made worse by deforestation. Still others speak of internal wars, political fragmentation and spiritual crisis. But collapse does not mean disappearance. Maya people moved. They migrated north and west toward the Puc Hills, the Yucatán Peninsula, and coastal lowlands. New cities rose: Uxmal, Mayapan, Chichén Itzá. The Maya adapted, they rebuilt, and they endured. The Maya story is not one of endings, but of transformations. Segment 26, the Northern Renaissance, Chichén Itzá and Uxmal. Following the southern lowlands collapse, new centers emerged in the north, most notably Chichén Itzá and Uxmal. Chichén Itzá became a cultural powerhouse by the 10th century CE. Its architecture reflects both Maya tradition and foreign influence, perhaps Toltec, giving rise to structures like the Temple of Kukulkan, the feathered serpent god. This pyramid, also known as El Castillo, is an astronomical calendar carved in stone. Each of its 4 stairways has 91 steps, totaling 364, and with the platform on top, 365. On the spring and autumn equinoxes, the setting sun casts a serpent-shaped shadow along its side, creating the illusion of Kukulkan descending from the heavens. Nearby is the great ball court, longer than a football field, where echoes carry across space, and rituals of life and death once played out. Uxmal, meanwhile, flourished with elegant style. Its nunnery quadrangle and pyramid of the magician show advanced engineering and decorative refinement, especially in the Puc architectural style marked by smooth walls and ornate stone mosaics. The Maya North was vibrant, dynamic and spiritual. Though the world had shifted, the heart of Maya culture still beat strong. Segment 27, rival of the Spanish and the fall of Mayapan. By the early 16th century, the last great Maya city-state, Mayapan, had fallen, fractured by civil war and internal betrayal. Not long after, Foreign sails appeared on the horizon. First contact with the Spanish brought confusion, curiosity, and catastrophe. By the 1520s and 1530s, conquistadors like Francisco de Montejo began campaigns to conquer the Yucatán. But unlike the Aztecs or Inca, the Maya were not a centralized empire. They were a mosaic of fiercely independent city-states, many already at odds with each other. This disunity slowed the conquest. It took over 170 years for the Spanish to subdue all Maya regions. Some communities resisted into. The late 1600s a testament to their tenacity and pride. Yet the conquest brought devastation. Temples were toppled. Codices were burned. Populations were decimated by war, disease, and forced conversion. Still, the Maya spirit endured hiding in hills, weaving in secret, whispering prayers in quiet corners of the forest. Segment 28, The Survivors and the Resilient. Though colonization sought to erase Maya identity, it failed. Millions of Maya people still live today across Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. They speak over 30 distinct Maya languages. They maintain traditional clothing, sacred rituals, farming customs, and a deep respect for maize and ancestor veneration. In some highland villages of Guatemala, the Maya calendar is still used to mark time. The daykeepers perform ancient ceremonies tied to fire, stars, and spirits. Festivals blend Catholic saints with pre-Hispanic deities, creating vibrant expressions of faith and memory. From weaving patterns to agricultural techniques, echoes of ancient knowledge persist. The Maya didn't vanish. They were never lost. They were never simply ruins. They are mothers and fathers, healers and farmers, activists and artists, living links to one of humanity's most profound civilizations. Living links to one of humanity's most profound civilizations. Segment 29, Rediscovering the Glyphs. For centuries, the Maya script remained a mystery. Colonial narratives dismissed it as decoration. But in the 20th century, scholars began unlocking its code. It was Yuri Norisov, a Soviet linguist, who first proposed that Maya glyphs were not purely ideographic but syllabic. Later, Linda Skull, David Stewart, and Maya researchers themselves expanded the decipherment. Now, we can read names, dates, poems, prayers, and royal decrees once thought lost. And as the glyphs come alive, so to do the stories, the birth of kings, the fall of dynasties, the eclipses they feared, the maize gods they honored, the wars they fought, the cosmos they mapped. The stones are speaking again, and the Maya are helping us hear them. Segment 30 echoes into the future. The Maya were more than architects of stone. They were engineers of time. Every calendar, every codex, every carved stela was a promise that memory matters, that the past is never truly past. Their story is not confined to ruins or locked behind museum glass. It moves among us, breathed through songs, carved into fabric and danced in sacred fire. From the temples of Tikal to the cornfields of Quiche, the legacy of the Maya still rises with the sun. And as we listen, truly listen, we begin to understand something more than history. We touch time itself.